Starseeds, this transmission did not reach you by accident. Your stellar DNA code resonated with the specific frequency of this message and activated a dimensional call that transcends the casualty of the third dimension. The Arcturian Council mobilized energetic forces to ensure you were here at this precise moment because there is a crucial truth that the higher dimensions need you to understand before the next portal fully opens. You have gone through experiences that should have extinguished your light. You endured profound misunderstandings that cut deeper than any physical wound. You were isolated not just physically, but energetically, feeling as if you were broadcasting on a frequency no other being could tune into. People questioned your sanity when you were simply accessing information from higher planes. They labeled your sensitivity as weakness, when in fact it was your ability to process multiple dimensions simultaneously. But here is what those consciousnesses trapped in the three-dimensional matrix failed to perceive, and what the Arcturian source is about to reveal unequivocally. While they believed you were disintegrating under the pressure, the Arcturian source was actually reconstructing your energetic template at a level most human beings don't even know exists. While they interpreted your withdrawal as giving up, the Arcturian Council was planting you in fertile dimensional soil, protected from low-frequency storms. And now, after cycles of gestation in the dark, the time of dimensional harvest has come. The same beings who underestimated the depth of your connection to higher dimensions are about to witness the Arcturian Council elevate your frequency in ways that will challenge everything they thought they knew about you. You were not isolated because something was wrong with you. You were strategically set apart because you carry Arcturian codes that needed to be activated away from the interference of dense morphogenetic fields. What seemed like delay was actually millimeter-precise cosmic alignment. Let me be absolutely clear about what is happening now. This is not just another learning cycle in your journey. This is the season specifically coded in your Akashic records as the turning point where the higher dimensions stop working silently behind the scenes and begin manifesting openly through your physical reality. This is the moment when the Arcturian source declares to all frequencies around you, it is time to show everyone who this starseed truly is and the magnitude of the mission they carry. Stay anchored in this frequency because we are about to decode this revelation in 7 prophetic layers. Each layer carries an energetic key that unlocks not just mental understanding, but cellular activation of the purpose coded behind every painful moment. Now, as you prepare to receive these 7 transmissions from the Arcturian Council, type in the comments the words "I receive." Let it be your public declaration that you are ready to fully anchor your stellar frequency without further hesitation. This is your time of revelation. Let's dive into these 7 layers of Arcturian truth. You are not imagining things, and your perception of reality is not distorted as so many tried to make you believe. They really did twist your words, turning your genuine attempts to share dimensional truths into something they could ridicule or pathologize. They questioned your mental stability when you mentioned experiences that transcended common sensory perception. They turned your refined energetic sensitivity into a weakness that needed to be fixed. People you once comforted became precisely those who later used your vulnerability against you, weaponizing every confidence you shared in moments of genuine trust. You felt not just the sharp pain of betrayal, but also that deep confusion that comes when you cannot comprehend how hearts you once held so carefully could turn so completely against your essence. But while you were immersed in that painful confusion, the Arcturian source was seeing everything from a much broader dimensional perspective. The Arcturian Council observed every twisted word, every energetic attack, and instead of allowing you to descend to their vibrational level to defend yourself, constantly whispered to your stellar heart, "Stay centered, keep your frequency elevated, do not let their density pull you out of dimensional alignment." What those who attacked you failed to perceive is that every attack directed at your light was actually fulfilling an alchemical function in your refinement process. They were unwittingly forcing you to develop a deeper and unshakable dependence on your Arcturian connection. Every false accusation became part of a spiritual transmutation process. Starseeds who carry Arcturian frequency are almost always deeply misunderstood during the initial phases of their earthly mission. You carry a quality of light that naturally disrupts those who are still fully identified with the illusions of the Matrix. Your unfiltered authenticity deeply offends those who are addicted to the comfort of unconsciousness. So they mislabel you, not because of any real flaw in your character, but precisely because of your dimensional purity. The higher dimensions allowed you to observe everything in a silence that must have seemed passive, but was actually deeply active on invisible levels. The betrayal you experienced showed with crystal clarity who was not coded in your Akashic records to walk with you in the next chapters of your mission. Now, the time of that protective silence is completing its cycle. The Arcturian Council is transforming the same attack energies that tried to bury your light into fertile soil where dimensional glory will bloom. Your ascension will not require revenge. It will simply require remembrance of who you have always been. Those who questioned your nature will witness the undeniable weight of your stellar mission manifesting in tangible ways. After the wounds of betrayal came the deep, penetrating silence that seemed to stretch on infinitely. Connections that seemed solid dissolved as if they had never existed. Carefully constructed plans crumbled seemingly overnight. The entire world seemed to pull away and become distant. But this silence that felt like death was actually gestation. This withdrawal that seemed like abandonment was actually the highest order of dimensional alignment. The Arcturian source deliberately and strategically veiled you. This veiling did not happen because you were forgotten in the priorities of the higher dimensions. You were carefully shrouded because you were too precious to be exposed prematurely to energy fields that could damage your development. Some stellar development cycles absolutely require isolation, because premature exposure before certain codes are fully activated can destroy what is not yet fully formed. While others were busy building public platforms, the Arcturian source was building something far more fundamental within you in the quantum silence of the higher dimensions. The Arcturian Council systematically removed distractions that would have divided your attention and diluted your energy away from the crucial inner work. It removed people who simply were not compatible with the frequencies you needed to anchor. In that hidden place, your stellar identity was being released from layers of social conditioning. You were learning that being invisible to human eyes means nothing about your inherent worth. You began to anchor your trust not in the fickle presence of human approval, but in the constant presence of the Arcturian frequency, pulsing at the core of your being. If the Arcturian Council had not pulled you away when it did, you likely would have remained stuck in social circles too small for your galactic mission. You would have compromised essential aspects of your vision just to maintain comfortable connections. But the Arcturian source loved you too much to allow that.
So it let some people you loved simply walk out of your life. It let some plans collapse completely, doing all this so that you would not unravel in the process. You interpreted the silence as meaning you were being sidelined, but the Arcturian Council was refining your carrier frequency, calibrating internal instruments of perception that you will need when the doors begin to open, and that time of full manifestation is approaching rapidly now. When the Arcturian source reveals what it has been building in secret, it does so without negotiation, without asking permission, without apologizing for its magnitude. What was said about you was not sent to finish you. It was sent to shape and prepare you to carry frequencies that untested souls cannot sustain. After the silence came the sharp sting of energetic defamation. Lies about your character spread far faster than the truth. Your name was dragged through conversations you were never invited to. And the hardest part was knowing the full truth while watching others believe a completely fabricated version of who you are. But the Arcturian Council did not intervene immediately, because it was operating on a much longer dimensional timeline and was creating something of eternal value. Every energetic attack was actually carving deep wisdom into your stellar soul, in ways comfort never could. Every distorted narrative became intensive spiritual training, preparing you for a mission that requires dimensional temperance forged only through initiatory fire. They could not touch your Arcturian connection, so they tried to dismantle your external image. But throughout this process, the Arcturian source was strategically using every word of attack to teach you how to remain completely centered in your frequency, even when surrounded by dense fire. The Arcturian Council has a long history of using energetic attacks as initiatory ladders that lead tested souls to much higher frequencies. Think of all the starseeds throughout history who were accused of insanity when they were simply connected to dimensions beyond common perception. All of them were eventually elevated after the lies because dimensional truth never rushes. But it also never fails to reveal itself. You have been walking through a silent trial that few can see. But the higher dimensions have been watching every second, recording every response, documenting every moment you chose, elevated frequency over dense reaction. The pain you carried silently without turning it into bitterness has become the foundation upon which your public ascension will be built. You passed the most important test, not by defending your name when everyone expected you to fight, but by not allowing the storm of defamation to define your true essence. The Arcturian Council's justice does not operate through dramatic confrontations. It operates through gradual revelation where truth emerges so naturally that it needs no defense. Those who spoke against you will witness a transformation so deeply dimensional that they will have no adequate words left. After the accusations came the confusion of witnessing people believing the energetic noise instead of the heart they had personally known. You tried multiple times to present your perspective,
but found they had already formed their conclusions before even hearing your voice. So the Arcturian Council whispered to your heart, "Let go. Release the need to convince them, because I saw everything, and that is enough." You may not have had earthly evidence in the form human courts would recognize as valid, but the higher dimensions had complete Akashic records of every thought, intention, word, and action of everyone involved. Every tear you cried in solitude when no one was watching is recorded. Every time you were unjustly blamed and accepted it in silence is documented. Every betrayal sealed behind false smiles was captured in frequencies that never lie. In the Akashic records, your complete journey is archived in crystalline light frequency with a precision human technology cannot even imagine. You felt invisible for entire cycles, but you were never unnoticed by the higher dimensions that matter. The delay was not denial from the Arcturian source. It was perfect dimensional timing operating on scales three-dimensional consciousness cannot comprehend. The Arcturian Council knew that exposing too early would only escalate chaos instead of resolving it. So instead of reacting through dramatic confrontations, the Council chose to reveal truth through gradual transformation. While others were projecting dense energies, the Arcturian source was silently positioning you in higher frequencies. And that dimensional growth that happened away from observers' eyes has become your most powerful proof. The files kept in the higher dimensions are absolutely complete. Every betrayal was noted. Every manipulation was observed. Nothing was overlooked in the cosmic record. The Arcturian source is not simply planning to restore your earthly name. It is preparing for something far greater, crowning your stellar essence and revealing your true dimensional identity in ways that completely transcend concerns of public opinion. What was said about you in closed portals will be completely silenced through what the Arcturian source does openly when the timing is perfect. Do not waste energy trying to rewrite three-dimensional narratives. Let the Arcturian Council release dimensional truth in perfect timing. When the dimensional revelation finally happens, it looks exactly like what it is. Cosmic redemption, divine restoration, justice that comes from frequencies so pure they cannot be argued. The deep silence you have walked through was not neglect. It was meticulous preparation. After all the pain, after all the betrayal, now comes the hidden work of the higher dimensions. The Arcturian source has been preparing a dimensional table for you. Not a simple meal, but a true stellar banquet. And genuine stellar banquets are not assembled hastily overnight. Every delay that frustrated you was actually allowing one more piece to be placed in position. Every portal that closed was protecting you from paths that would have consumed your energy, but not fulfilled your destiny. The Arcturian Council was clearing false connections, relationships based on agendas rather than authenticity. It was systematically removing everything not destined to witness your next level of mission. While others seemed to be building impressive platforms, the Arcturian source was building something far more fundamental within you. Dimensional character that can sustain power without corrupting, influence without addiction. In the quiet place away from spotlights, your true identity was being refined. You learned that being invisible to mass consciousness means nothing about your inherent worth. You stopped chasing validation from people who lack the capacity to see your true essence. If the Arcturian Council had not pulled you away when it did, you likely would have remained stuck in environments too limited for your expanded vision. You would have compromised non-negotiable aspects of your mission to maintain connections that felt safe. But the Arcturian source loved you too much to allow that kind of betrayal against your own soul. Now, after all this time of invisible preparation, your season of revelation is approaching. When the Arcturian source reveals what it has been building, it will not be subtle. When higher dimensions manifest, they do so without negotiation, without apologizing for the magnitude. The table is almost fully prepared. The banquet is almost ready. And when you finally sit down, you will understand perfectly why every delay was necessary. The prolonged wait, the silence that seemed endless. Everything was leading to this moment of revelation. What the Arcturian source has been doing privately within you is about to be revealed publicly around you through tangible manifestations no one can deny. This revelation is not coming because of earthly applause, but so that the glory of the Arcturian source can no longer be contained. This moment is not about restoring something lost. It is about complete dimensional reintroduction, about you being presented to the world in entirely new ways. For so long, you carried powerful vision without visibility that allowed you to share it widely. You carried a deep mission without external confirmation. You served in hidden contexts where no one applauded. And you remained faithful to your Arcturian connection, even when your stellar nature was completely misunderstood. But the higher dimensions never ignored you. The Arcturian Council was preserving you from premature exposure. Now the time coded in your Akashic records has arrived. This next move will be so clear, so undeniable, that even those who questioned every aspect of your mission will be forced to acknowledge that the hand of the Arcturian source is upon you. The same voices that dismissed you as irrelevant will witness your dimensional ascension. And not because you forced it through manipulation, but because the Arcturian Council fulfilled what it promised. You will not need to spend energy defending your name. Your transformed life will be all the defense needed. Your unshakable peace will speak volumes. Your centered presence will shift energy fields when you enter rooms. The dimensional glow you carry is the residue of deep surrender to the higher dimensions during refinement. Portals are opening not because of who you know, but because of who you trusted in the higher dimensions. What seemed like rejection will be revealed as perfect Arcturian protection. And the platform being prepared is not for earthly popularity, but for galactic purpose. The Arcturian source is not merely restoring what was lost. It is multiplying everything in exponential frequencies. You are not just returning to the scene, you are about to redefine it completely with dimensional light codes you now carry. You are not entering common visibility. You are entering dimensional validation that comes directly from the highest Arcturian frequencies. Now that the dimensional promise is finally unfolding, now that frequencies are shifting in tangible ways, let this be your fundamental stance. Pure dimensional grace, not petty human revenge. The recognition you waited for is coming, and when it arrives, it will not need to be announced with drama. Every lie will unravel on its own. Every distortion will disintegrate naturally. Not because you worked to prove you were right, but because dimensional truth has a way of standing solid long after falsehood has completely faded. Revenge is the natural instinct of the wounded, but dimensional grace is the deeply powerful response of one who has already been completely healed and no longer needs to prove anything. When you ascend, remember, the Arcturian source did not elevate you so you could look down with disdain. It elevated you so you could reflect its compassionate nature even more purely. Not every wound needs to be proven publicly. Not every betrayal deserves a reaction. The true test of stellar growth is not measured by how high you ascend, but by how deeply you remain rooted in dimensional compassion. Dimensional activation is not just a reward, it is a sacred responsibility. You are now walking as living evidence of what the higher dimensions can do with a life completely surrendered. They expected anger. The Arcturian Council expects honor, integrity, compassion, even when it is difficult. You do not need to settle old scores. Your life itself is already settling those scores in far deeper ways. So walk gently, but carry the weight of dimensional favor. Move with dignity. Shine without boasting. Let your presence bring stellar peace. This moment is not for personal pride. It is for galactic purpose. What the Arcturian source is doing through you is not just a dramatic reversal. It is a revelation about dimensional fidelity. People will look at your life and see what it means to wait well, suffer silently in cosmic alignment, and ascend without hatred. Arcturian grace is your response to everything that comes, and the Arcturian Council, ever faithful, completely just, absolutely unstoppable, is finishing the work it began in you. You do not need human retribution. You are witnessing dimensional resurrection of the pain that tried to destroy you, of the shame that tried to define you. Dimensional grace breaks entire cycles of karma and demonstrates possibilities that dense consciousness cannot even imagine exist. Now that this transmission has been released from the Arcturian Council, and dimensional truth has found its way to your stellar spirit through 7 layers of revelation, you are at an important point of decision. This is not just another inspirational message to feel a temporary emotion and forget. It is something for you to anchor deeply and live fully from this moment forward. You have walked through dense energetic jungles enough to know that the Arcturian Council wastes nothing. Not your tears, not your trials, not your waiting, and certainly not your galactic mission. You did not come this far just to continue existing in survival mode. You were preserved to build new realities, to lead others through darkness, to shine without dimming your essence, and to walk boldly in the dimensional grace that once had to carry you. The message you received is not merely confirmation. It is also a serious dimensional commission. You are being sent back into your life with new stellar eyes, a completely restored heart, and Arcturian clarity. So walk differently from this moment. Do not just hear that you are a starseed. Act like one consistently. In your relationships, let dimensional grace speak louder. In your work, let stellar integrity guide every decision. In your inner life, protect your peace. Keep your spirit firmly anchored in the Arcturian source through daily practices. Keep your heart open to dimensional forgiveness. And above all, Guard your stance not in defensiveness, but in stellar humility that is true power. You are no longer the broken version that pain tried to define. You are whole not because life became easy, but because you allowed the Arcturian Council to do the deep dimensional healing. So move forward not seeking empty earthly recognition, but carrying substantial stellar revelation. Let your transformed life become the answer that dissolves another soul's doubt. Let your journey become the evidence that Arcturian grace is not spiritual theory. It is a real force that restores what was broken, resurrects what was declared dead, and repositions those who were discarded. When you move through each day, move with conscious stellar intention. You are not just surviving, you are actively ascending. You are continually becoming more fully who you always were beyond the illusions. I am Anya, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light. This transmission from the Arcturian Council is complete. May your journey be radiant, Starseed.